Good day and welcome to Jnn Insight. I'm your host, Michael Sharp. On this program, we bring you the insight into those matters impacting our country, and we bring you the story behind the story. Today, we look at policing, and we have with us head of the Community Safety and Security Branch, Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police, Steve McGregor. We'll also be speaking with Chief Chaplain, Pastor Gary Badu, and Director of Corporate Communications, Natalie Taylor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, my friend.
And Police Week is upon us,
Yes.
as per usual. But what's the purpose of having this week by
Well,
itself?
the Jamaica Constabulary Force celebrates its 151st anniversary in November. Hence, we having a week of celebration in the month of November.
The significance. Hope to gain anything? Have we gained anything? I mean, is it just a week for a week's sake? What's the purpose?
Well, as we have crafted, it's recognized that the fortunes of our country is intrinsically entwined in the success of the force. As such, the organization anniversary will highlight the very best of the JCF, law enforcement organization, and heighten the position of the key engineers who develop our country. The aim of the week is to reverse or change the narrative that has dogged the JCF, build our brand, and reestablish the JCF and its members as agents of positive change in the minds and hearts of the citizens. Importantly as well, the week will be used to reach out and groom the next generation of professional police officers who will not only be purpose-driven in their security mandate, but be also empowered and energized to lead the charge in strengthening citizens' ownership of brand JCF. Hence, we have a theme that says, a force for good.
Force to be reckoned with.
Yes,
Force
yes,
for
yes,
good.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Let's look at the issue of the brand.
Yeah,
It has had its
ups and
ups and
downs.
downs. From where you sit, and you have been at this for some time, and you carry
36 years.
a significant rank, is the brand in trouble? Is the brand working out? Where is the brand in terms of where you started, and where is it now if you were to take a reflective looking in, even in the rear view?
Well, it has grown. I can remember when the whole idea of me being in touch with the police force started. It was sometime in 1978 when Corporal then Oliver Thompson came to my home in Franklin Town. I lived on Cambridge Street, and he came there on a Sunday, and he visited with my mother, who was at the back of the house washing, they're washing that big cistern. And he was in his uniform, properly dressed. And when he entered the back of the yard, my mother saw him. She dropped the clothes, like it's not normal to see a police in the inner city area then, and said, "What are you here for?" And he said, "I'm here about your son." When he said that, she fell to the ground. And he, as was told to me, came over and counseled her and said, "No, it's for a good purpose. We want him to join our police youth club." And my mother called me out of the house. I was in my shorts then, and came out. And I cannot forget that day. The officer called me over and he put his arm around me. You would normally not have a police officer hugging a youngster from the inner city.
What's the name of that officer again?
Oliver Thompson. I think he left the force at deputy superintendent.
Okay.
Yes, but he was the leader of the police youth club then.
Yes.
And that day changed the fortunes of my life.
Yes.
I remember watching a show, Mr. Destiny, and one little thing that changed, and it changed your destiny. That crafted a different direction in my life. And I joined the Armand Barracks Police Youth Club, grew to become the first president of the youth club, and hence I am in the JCF. So I'm a product of the Police Youth Club system. It's a very good system, and it's a part of the 6 pillars that we're using to drive our safe communities in making the community empower themselves to change what is happening in our
I
society.
take you back to 1978 when your mother dropped the clothes and the policeman put his hand around your shoulder. You noted how significant it was because it was unusual. Is it still not unusual for that to happen?
Well, it is different because we have made some inroads where that is concerned through the CSSB and our own community policing effort. A lot of people would think that community policing is soft policing. No, it is strategic policing, because what is happening in our country, genesis in the communities. So if you don't get close to the community, the people of the community, you're not going to solve what is happening. You're not going to make a permanent dent in what is happening. We're going to continue to play catch up as we are, because I've always said that we're a country that is racking up over 1,000 murders a year for the last 13, 14 years. We have taken off hundreds of guns off the street. We have arrested thousands of people, but nonetheless, our citizens are still finding reasons to kill each other for minor differences. So if we're going to put a nip in the bud as it relates to what is causing these minor differences, the solution is in the community. So we have to go in, engender a relationship with them consistently and honestly. Yes. And then we will make a permanent change in what is happening.
You say it's community police is not soft policing, yes. But I want to think of the concept of community as community within communities. Yeah. And what I mean is you are fighting the First Amendment, or the Second or the Fourth Amendment of the United States of America, the right to bear arms. And these, when I look at these M16s that you catch, and these rounds and rounds of ammunition, is there a strategy against that?
Yeah, well, I remember when I was in West Kingston, and when I go out and speak to the citizens, I told them that I'd rather you stop firing the guns than me recovering 100 guns. Because if you have reason to fire the guns, if I take 100 from you, you're going to get 200 more. But if we get a way to change that mental side, for you to not think that you need to shoot somebody to settle that difference, it is better that way. And when you get the guns, stop firing, as is what I am hoping and what we are aiming at doing with Zozo and the soaps, to get some form of tranquility within the communities, so then we can go in to make that connect with the citizens so that we can influence their attitudes to change their behavior.
I hear you, but I want to challenge you.
Yeah.
There can't be any peace if the guys are sitting holding on to their peace.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yes, no, but I see that there can be peace if you can get them to not have a necessity to use it. I say go bury it. You might bury it and don't have no reason to dig it up again. You understand? But if I take it from you without getting at the reason why you had it, when we take that one, you're going to get another one. So I am talking about, we are working at the mental side. We want to change that attitude that makes a youngster feel that if he's quarreling with his friend about if Messi is better than Ronaldo, the solution is to kill his friend, you know. We want to change that attitude where two youngsters will be playing football. They are friends, and one put on a bad tackle, you know, a rough tackle, and say, all right, don't move. And you know where he's going? He's going home for his gun to shoot his friend. We're saying there must be another way to get him to think that that's not the way to go.
Oh, God.
Yes. So the idea of community policing in my mind and how I vision it and how we are working at it is to influence the attitudes to change the behavior. It is a strategic plan, you know, not something that will happen overnight. Because just as I always use West Kingston, and when I reach there and they ask what was my strategy for West Kingston, I say I am here to make a connect with the people. That's all. Nothing operational, you know. And after you make a connect with the people, everything else will flow.
Yes.
Because like it or not, we have a set of people who love to follow. That's how we are as Jamaicans. So if you are a good leader, and you lead and get them to follow in the direction you are getting, you're right on the way in making the thing work. Yeah.
Help me with this dog art concept, and I agree with you, go after the man, because if you take with the guns, is really the symptoms, you're not really treating the real issue. The dog artness thing has gone on to where children are now...
Yes, and it comes back to the whole as I like to use attitude, how we grow up. And when I speak, if you listen to me, there are some things that I consistently speak about. I remember being in St. James, and I was sitting in a movie theater, and I had a young lady with me, and before the show starts, and the anthem is played. So I promptly stood up. I had to encourage the lady to stand up. But when I looked to my left, there was a youngster about 17, and he was slouching in his thing like that. Yes, and I said, youngster, why are you not standing up? And you know what he said to me? Fiwa. And that was very significant because he really didn't have any connect to it. He had no reason to think that he should stand up. Yes. And therein lies where we have gone, that civicness. We have no moral attachment to good and bad and values. That's how we are. Yes. We are just surviving, and we need to change that narrative with our youngsters. Yes. Hence, our curfew program for the youngsters to get them off the street by 9 p.m. especially in the inner city areas, get them into police youth clubs, get them into homework program. We have mentorship system for them. We want them to get them in our scouts, our cadets, so that some sort of disciplinary line to get them out of that wayward thinking. Yeah. These youngsters are drinking mixed drink at age 12 and 13. A mixed drink meaning Red Bull and NSC, call any one of them. When we were growing up, we didn't know this. We could hardly get a taste of a beer.
Gonna you hold there for me. We're gonna take a break with acting ACP Steve McGregor. We'll be right back on the Insight. Welcome back to Insight. We're speaking with acting ACP Steve McGregor from the CSSB, and you know what that means, right? Community Safety and Security Branch. Yes. Okay. You mentioned as kids never even got anything to drink early, couldn't even taste it. The issue of values. CSSB, as part of their movement, they must naturally then go for the younger generation.
Yes, because that's where we think the solution is. Over 90% of those who are being killed are young people. And equally, over 90% of those who are doing the killing are young people. So anything that we're going to devise to manage crime and violence in our country must be geared at our young people. Sadly, parenting and lack thereof is a real feeder to this. You know, I always say that the parents of this generation have failed dismally. And ironically, they are more accredited than our parents who grew us up better than they are doing now.
Explain what you mean by accredited.
Yes, meaning they have more degrees, they have gone to school at higher level. My mother only reached to 3rd class. Yes. And I always tell the story of my mother. It has reached her in Boston because somebody told them that they heard me talking about it. Where I attended Kingston College, the best school in Jamaica. Yes. And when I come home from school, I was in a single parent home. My father left for farm work when I just passed from Franklin Town Primary to Kingston College. And he said that he would have sent for me. But the first time I went to abroad, when I became a policeman. So I was in a single parent household. And when my mother comes home from work and she says, Steve, bring your homework. Invariably it would be geometry, algebra. My mother knows nothing about that. And when my mother looked at it, sometimes she might turn to her and she says, Steve, go do it over back. And I said, Mommy, but I've done it already. Yeah. She said, go and do it over back. And you know what was the lesson there from my dunce butt mother, as I always say, because I think I can call her that. Yes. If you do it twice, you're more likely to get it right. Yes. My mother paid that kind of attention to me. These parents, the one of this generation now, they're gone to Ugly Friday, Dirty Monday, Chicken Back Tuesday. They have no time for these young people. Yes. And what these young people at their disposal, smartphones, iPods. So they do all sorts of things. And when they become what they are, you are surprised. It is because of the attention and the lack thereof that these parents are paying to these kids.
And again, the whole community. You take up the smartphone, but it's a different community that they're involved in.
They'll tell you that they have 150 friends.
Yes.
But this is not friends like we knew it.
Yes.
It is friends on Facebook.
Yes,
they don't know if it's a girl or boy or so on. So that closeness of friendship that we knew, where we used to play gig together, play the ring games, they don't do these. They communicate on cell phones, and they learn from this.
But tell me about the community issue now. That we're seeing where young children, we think of Trenchtown the other day, where nobody up to this day can come up and say, oh, it happened. So in other words, is the community has lost its values as well? I mean,
well,
what's
exactly. And I'll tell you a little about that because it's a community that I know. And you can get them to push out somebody if the person who is responsible is not tied to somebody with strength. So I'll tell you this without doing any due diligence of that specific scenario that you spoke of, that those who are responsible are tied to somebody with strength. Strength meaning illegal and lawful strength, not necessarily strength like the JCF, meaning they can do something if you seek to talk. Because people within the community always know. And that is why the network system that I had when I commanded West Kingston was like that. If something happens, I know who to call and they know who they can trust. Yes. Because I've always said to citizens, in a country like this that is racking up over 1,000 murders a year for the last 13, 14 years, if you don't have a police officer as a friend, you are not so smart.
Yes. The issue of trust, how do you think that has gained? Because I saw a tweet this morning, alluding that the Minister of Justice gave some information on a criminal, and the criminal was able to call back the Minister of Justice and said, "Where you call up my name for?"
Yeah. I would want to see that as an aberration if it did happen. And I'm not saying that the minister is not saying the truth. But if it happens, and it can happen, I would want to see it as an aberration. It is not the norm. Because this doesn't happen on a regular basis. And what will happen sometimes, as I say to citizens when they do this, when you tell Steve McGregor something, keep it between you and him. Because sometimes they do other things. I know of situation where a lady will tell you something, and when she goes to the hairdresser and she's under the hairdryer for a hour or so, and Sharon is the proprietor and she's there and there and there, and she said, Sharon, I had to go tell Mr. McGregor about the old thieving boy, Trevor. Why you do that? Because Sharon might know his girlfriend, Patsy. And Sharon go and tell Patsy that, the hairdresser and so on. When he comes out, where the blame is going to boy, the dirty boy, Mr. McGregor, me tell him. And then it is not me came from.
Yes.
So you have to keep it that way. And as I say, that is the reason why I say you must generate a relationship with somebody who you consider your friend, because you will speak confidentially with your friend. You won't call 119 or just the normal police and tell them something that is confidential to you that easily. But if you know that Michael Sharp is my friend, I might and will speak to you in confidence. And that is how most of what would have solved when I was a commander came about. And when you do preemptive, you don't see that because the thing didn't happen, so you don't know how good what you did was then, and things like that.
Let me switch two quick gears with you because of our limited time and having to bring others on as well. We note with interest, 78, there was a time when, the police came up under a culture of where they didn't have to go to the whole issue of human rights.
Yeah, it was more garrison, it was going and
do your thing. We're now coming back with zones of special operations, state of emergency. In other words, it's causing the police to work in an atmosphere where some rights are suspended.
Yes.
If you keep that too long, don't we run a risk of
Yes, and how I see it is that these zones of special operation and the state of public emergency is to bring some sense of calm to a specific area. But it doesn't stop there. The CSSB has a responsibility now, and this is where our 6-pillar strategies come in. When the area is now calm, my police will move in, and they will go in and empower the people to police the community by themselves. We have an example of that. We have made a community in St. Anne that is called Bel Air 2. They used to call it Crocodile City. And the safe community strategy has been working for over 6 months now. And where it is coming from, this is a squatter community, you know. They go, the teams that are doing the curfew program for the youngsters, they move out on an evening and they speak to the youngsters who are on the street, get them in there. Youth club system is working, the safe school system is working, the neighborhood watch program is working, which is very critical. And one more element, they have a consultative committee that resides within the community, made up of citizens from within the community. What is the purpose of this? When minor differences crop up, this is the council of elders that will meet to deal with it. For argument's sake, something is happening between down the bottom of X Street and the top of X Street, because things like these cause 9-10 murders, like what is happening in Augustown, you know, within the communities. Yes. So these council of elders, they meet and they discuss what is the differences. They will report to the police what, and you get on it before it mushroom into anything.
And you hope that this disease will spread.
And this is what we want to do.
Let's look at the week is asking, and you're looking for a drive for people to join the force. But let's use you as an example. I've learned that the policeman scared your mother, put a hand around you, you got into the youth club, Armand Barracks. But in your mind, you're coming out of a school on North Street. Sorry about that. But, you know, let me add, the commissioner went to Calabar.
Yes, he always says it to me.
Just to remind you. You didn't intend to join the force.
No, not at all.
How has it been? I mean, why did you? I mean...
Well, I'll tell you this. When, after graduating from Kingston College, I worked 1 year at Grace Kennedy. Okay. 1 year. And when the leaders of the youth club saw where I was very rough on the edges, you know, I'm not like I am. This started from within the youth club because we were groomed, properly trained, proper etiquette. They took us on field trips all around the country. So I was molded into a proper youngster from within the youth club. So when I got into the JCF, I was on the route there. I was drafted back into the administrative staff at the college. When I graduated, I didn't come out right away because of what I had
leadership
to offer
role,
there. Yes. So, you know, it is good. And that is the reason why recruitment is the main thrust of our police week. You know, on the Monday, the first day, all the divisional headquarters will set up a recruitment desk that people will be invited in, tertiary student, high school student, youth club student to come in, and we will do the recruitment from each divisional headquarters on that Monday, you know, as a start.
A question here. I mean, do you get an inside edge if you were a member of a youth club?
Easily.
Okay.
Easily. And we always tell them that is like getting credit, you know, like when you go into the youth. Yes. Being a member of a youth club gives you credit in coming into the JCF.
Because that's almost like a part of your background. You call the big fancy word antecedent.
Yes. And it shows that you are a member of a police youth club. You are good.
A lot easier.
So we encourage young people to get into these youth clubs. And we're drafting up an MOU with the Ministry of National Security and JCF, who will be supporting these 6-pillar strategies that we have, so it will move on a faster basis. And I'm very enthused and encouraged that we are going to put a dent in what is happening in our country. But I always hasten to say it is a strategic plan. So don't look for any overnight solution, because you have to consistently do it in a genuine and honest way. So it works.
I want to thank you so much, sir. It's always an inspiration hearing from you, sir. Good cop. Bad cop. You know, you have that sound. But I want to thank Mr. McGregor, really an inspiration, head of the CSSB, acting ACP, but I'm sure gentleman from Calabar's hearing, you don't need to act anymore. He's the real thing. We'll be right back on Insight. Welcome back to Jnn Insight. We continue our discussions with our friends from the JCF, and we are now joined by the Chief Chaplain, Pastor Gary Boudou. What do you mean by Chief Chaplain? What that means?
Well, basically, my role in the JCF is pastoral in nature.
Pastoral in nature.
Absolutely.
It sounds like I can see animals in the pasture. Or pastor. Oh, there you go. There you go.
So, but since it's not a religious organization, we are called chaplains. So my role is basically to coordinate programs, events, activities that give support to the police spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically, to the men and women of the JCF and their immediate families.
Okay.
So that's basically my role.
Do you carry a rank as a result of that? Are you a member of the JCF and all members of the chaplaincy unit? I believe that's a unit.
Chaplaincy branch.
Chaplaincy branch.
Chaplaincy services branch.
That's a non-geographical area? What do you call it?
No, we have the chaplaincy services branch is made up of 7 assistant chaplains, and they're all pastors from various denominations.
And they're tied to their own church that they work? They
are exclusive to the police, but they have an attachment to their church because they are ordained ministers of the gospel carrying credentials from their respective denominations.
Yes.
So there are 5 assistant chaplains across the 5 police area formations.
Yes, there are 1, 2, 3, 4,
2,
5.
3, 4,
Yes.
5. And we have 2 for the non-geographic formations because there's a lot of non-geographic formations.
Yes.
So we pool them, and we have non-geographic formation number 1, non-geographic formation number 2.
Okay.
So that all the formations
Did you answer the
can
question
be.
about the rank?
Oh, the rank.
Yes, okay.
Well, because it's a rank structure,
Yes.
they give me a rank, which is Assistant Commissioner of Police.
Yes.
But it's honorary. I'm not a sworn member.
Yeah, not a sort of.
I'm not a sworn member, so I have no arresting powers.
Really?
No,
Well,
not
you
at
do
all.
as a citizen, but that's
That's another thing.
exclusive
Absolutely,
situation.
absolutely.
Are you kept busy?
Very, very busy. Very, very busy. In the JCF, we not only relate to situations that come to us. For example, critical incident stress debriefings. When police are involved in any critical incident, they have to see a chaplain. Example, accidental shooting or encounter with criminals and they have to shoot, unfortunately, sometimes fatally, an individual or a criminal for that matter. They have to see the chaplain before they go back on duty. That's a force policy.
Or they can volunteer to see the chaplain?
No, not volunteer. They have to.
Have to.
They are directed to see the chaplain, so that we can see how well they are before they can go back on frontline duty. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is just one task. We have other initiatives and programs, financial management programs, where they come in. We invite them to come in, different groups or different sections of the force. We have stress management program. We have family life programs. Recently, we had a couples retreat this year for the police. So we do marriages. Of course, we do funerals.
Oh, God, yes.
So
Here you have another one coming up.
we have
Sergeant Casanova died.
very well, very well,
So sorry to hear.
very well. And that person would be the 22nd person who have died since the last commemorative and memorial service, 2017, to date.
The 22nd, and not just as a result of gunshot.
Not at all.
Sickness.
Right,
anyhow.
natural, or whatever. Fortunately for us, we have not had any in the line of duty death.
Yes, that's remarkable.
Which is remarkable.
I've
Yes.
never seen that
Yes.
so far.
And that's since our last commemorative and memorial service.
I was just saying, knock on wood, right?
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
because
To this point, yes.
There was a time when there was you could measure a cop a month.
Very well, Very
There were
well.
12 every
Very
year.
well.
I knew this.
Very
'cause I
well.
used to count it.
Very well.
It's amazing that
Yeah.
we have seen that turn around.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, give me an insight, because you're dealing with what is described as internal customers.
Absolutely.
Where do you find that the bulk, how difficult it is to be a cop? Because you see them in their raw state, in their tears, in their pain. Some, sorry, unfortunately didn't come to you. They took their own lives. What is it that causes you the greatest of the stress?
I believe that there are two main areas of stressors that face our policemen and women.
Stressors are things that stress you.
Absolutely.
You identify
Absolutely.
stressors.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Work-related and family life.
But if you're a cop, you mash up your family life.
They are transferred here, transferred there. And if there's not strong structures in place to hold the family together, it can create challenges. Their spouses may not fully appreciate and understand the role and the sacrifice. And with the complex situations in our world today, different things bombarding the family for time and attention, sometimes it weighs heavily on the police in terms of balancing work and family. And that sometimes has its own repercussions in terms of stressors that affect the police. And we know about the work-related, for the rank and file, for the most part, low salary, working environment, and just meeting individuals on the road who do not respect police. Yes. And the encounters, the negative encounters, all this weigh down on the police. And it's a heavy load.
So you're giving us an insight as to the human being, the policeman.
Absolutely. The person behind the uniform.
Yes, the inside, that soft person. Help me. I'm going to tax you this today and ask you to give me a mini course on stress management. What is it that when they come to you, how do you handle stress? What is it that you ask them to do so they can take it away from them and apply it? So, a short course.
First of all, we need to realize that stress is a part of living. We need to accept that. You can't run away from it. So it's not a matter of if it will come, it's when. So it's a matter of managing stress. How do we manage it? Many times the circumstances around us, we may not be able to escape it, avert it, run away from it. But how you as an individual can manage it is very important. So your health, your state of mind, your wellness. If you are not well physically, you cannot manage stress the way a person who eats well, rests well, exercises, manage stress. You wouldn't be able to do that if you are not. You see, if you have a state of mind where you are able to reason things out, you are able to look at things from a positive perspective, then that helps you better than an individual who is not able to manage all of these thought processes and is confused and doesn't know where the next step goes. All of this impacts the way you manage stress. And so what we do is to carry these police officers through workshops, seminars that speak to these various elements that we can manage. We can't be focused on things we can't manage. We focus on things that we can manage.
Francis of Assisi.
There is a formula, a mathematical formula. It says stressors plus mindset gives you a particular result. So negative stressors plus negative mindset give you severe stress. Negative stressors plus positive mind stress gives you less stress. It may not eliminate the stress, it gives you less stress. And so that's a perspective we have to share with the police. And there are times when the police officer is going through a particular challenge, as chaplains, assistant chaplains, what we do is to journey with the police, especially in grief counseling. You have lost a family member. We can't recover that family member, but we can journey with that police. We can be there and empathize. We use what we call the ministry of presence.
The ministry of presence. Explain that.
We are there when they need us the most. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. Just be there when they need us the most. We are there when the announcement comes, and sometimes as chaplain we have to make the announcement to them at the home that your mother has just passed, or to say to a family member that the police officer who is a family member has just passed, and we have to make that announcement. We call it death notification. So we do that, and we are there journeying with them through the funeral preparations and even after, to make sure that they come to some semblance of normalcy so that they can function.
How long have you been chaplain?
Little over 3 years.
Can you remember any time that's been the most gut-wrenching for you? That you're like, oh my gosh.
I remember a particular time, not long ago. There are a number of events, really. But I remember some time ago, not very long ago, when I was called very early in the morning to respond to a situation where a police officer was in a car accident. And when I went, when I saw the body, no face was there.
Oh, it's a highway.
It's a highway.
Yeah.
It was terrible. The family was not yet informed. Some of the colleagues were informed, others were not. Went on the scene, saw what happened, got some information, took a little time as to where he actually lives and so forth. Then I went to the home. When I went to the home, they saw something in the media. They saw the car but wasn't sure what was that. And that's why we have to be careful too. No, it wasn't social media this time. It was one of the media houses, one of the TV stations. They did not give a name, but they saw the car. The family saw the car and was suspecting that something had happened to their relative, who is a police officer. They did not know what was happening though. But I came, spoke to them as to what they know, to find out what is happening here, and try to see who are the relatives there and bring everybody together. They thought he was injured but not dead. I was there trying to see, while I'm relating to the family, I'm looking for the stronger ones in the family who can help me now to impart and to hold the others up. I picked out a few while we were engaged. And this is not very long time in terms of the dialogue, because you can only hold the family for so long and no more. Eventually, though, I told them that their relative had passed. And the language he used, not that the car, because what had happened is that the car that this police officer was in, he was thrown out of the car. And other cars came driving over. And I could not tell the family that. That would be too much. So I told them, I realized the mother was not very well, was hypertensive. So I had to be able to manage that. She wanted to see her son. I know there wasn't anything to see. There was nothing to see of the condition of the body. And so I had to pull one or two of the stronger ones and say, listen, you have to tell your mother, we have to find a way for your mother to know there's nothing to see. There's nothing to see. There's no face. Ooh. There's nothing. That was horrific. And when they start to cry and you have to be there, it was rough. But we pulled through, and other community members came, and we were able to give strength and support to the family. We pulled through, we did the funeral, and things will never remain the same with the loss of a loved one, but some semblance of normalcy can be.
The
can
week
be
is coming up.
realized.
Always
Right.
start off with a church service.
Very well. Very well.
Yes, and no doubt. Is a JCF you say it's not a Christian organization, but it's very spiritual.
Yes, we follow what we call a Judeo-Christian tradition. So we in so doing, we have church services for various programs and events. And starting the Police Week on November 24, we have our church service, which will be in Area 3 at the Mandeville Seventh-day Adventist Church, starting at 11 o'clock.
Right. I'm going to hope a lot of people rush and come, but I'm going to have to take a break, and I want to thank you because you take care of the men and women in a spiritual way.
Yes.
You and the branch of person seven
Assistant
9?
chaplains,
Yes.
7 assistant chaplains, along with myself,
Yes.
8.
It's got to be a tough job.
It is. It is.
Thank you so much for your service, sir.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back on Insight. Welcome back to Insight. We have made another transition and we invited in the chair, Natalie Taylor. She's in charge of the corporate communications there at the JCF. And certainly she has a challenge of pulling all the pieces together for what is described as a police week. And I asked the acting commissioner of police earlier, what's the purpose of this week? Let me throw that to you because you're corporate, you're supposed to understand.
Okay, all right. So let me just share a quote which kind of helped to drive the coordination of the entire week. Former U.S. President John F. Kennedy, he said in designating May 15th as National Peace Officers Day, it is important that our people know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities that their police departments face and the necessity for cooperating with them in maintaining law and order. He went on to say, it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude for the dedicated service and courageous deeds of our law enforcement officers and for the contributions they have made to the security and well-being of our people.
Yeah.
So in planning this week, that was in the background of our minds. So the focus of this week, it's primarily to build brand loyalty and to attract the very best to the force.
Okay.
We also have activities that will focus on youth partnerships, on community partnerships, on enhancing our relationship with people. Because that's, I mean, policing is exactly, people are at the very heart of policing, the police officers themselves as well as the people that they serve.
Yes.
So it's about reconnecting and forming a deeper, stronger bond with Jamaicans in the entire interest of national security.
Yes. Let me ask you to divulge a little bit more in terms of the concept of brand loyalty. It sounds like, a brand.
But of course.
Brand loyalty for whom? Is it both for the internal, the police, and the external, the public? Well, what's brand loyalty?
For both. I would say for both internal and external, because I believe that internally, police, we need to be reminded of why we entered the profession of,
Yes.
why police entered the profession of policing. And in so doing, that's the best way that they can really go out and exact their duties. But in terms of the public, we're focusing on youth for a particular reason. You hear the phrase, you have to bend the tree while it's young.
Yes.
Exactly. And so we're focusing on exactly. And so we're focusing on our youth to enhance what is already there, because let me tell you, when their career days at school, do you realize a lot of kids come out wearing police uniforms?
Oh my geez. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody's dressed up like a police and a soldier.
From the little
So there
toddlers,
is
2
this
years
attraction.
old. There is, and I like to call it the aura of awe that our infants and our primary school students still have. They look up to cops as superheroes. And so we want to maximize on that aura of awe from the very young stage, yes, and build that up. The primary school stage, the high school stage, the tertiary institutions, and build that brand loyalty to the JCF, because the JCF is the security agency for the nation. And good or bad, whatever people want to think, it is, I think it is in everybody's interest to own that and to support that and be behind it and to understand the intricacies of it. So that's what I mean by building the brand loyalty during the week.
And you have triggered a concept in my mind, and no doubt it's something CSSB is after and what have you. It has to do with the old, that shine that you see the police have, not only on their shoes and on the uniform as a child. At what point can we interject and ensure that that shine lasts longer than how it is? So apparently when the rubber hits the road, people start dish the police. Is that something they learn somewhere else? And
Right, and I think a unfortunate part of it is children learn from other people's experiences of the police and what they hear about what other people are saying about the police. It's not necessarily what they themselves have seen or felt. The other day, I took the police to my daughter's school, and we had a peace step there, K9 division, and some other representatives. And just out of the blue, the kids started chanting, "We love the police, we love the police." And I'm like, that is a sort of sentiment that we want to generate in our young people, to have this love and understanding, because the police are mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles. You heard the chaplain just talking about a while ago.
You're
the
telling me the
situations he
police
deals with.
don't have a thing at night that they beam up and leave us and come back in the morning?
It would sometimes seem so. I mean, wow, the duties that they have to perform and go on. You heard the chaplain speak about all of these different things that he has to deal with in terms of tending to their spiritual and mental and emotional state. But it's a very stressing situation, the job of a police officer. And so this week is one that we want to celebrate them, say thank you, and as I mentioned, just for them to just strengthen that partnership with the people that they are
recognition, which sometimes is bigger than pay.
Exactly.
I mean, no. I mean, we know there's a discussion still.
Yeah, we won't go there.
But we
won't
won't
go
go
there.
there with the pay argument.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
So you're starting it out with a church service.
As per usual, indeed.
Yes.
I heard of the
Yes.
mention about the spirituality of the force.
Yes.
So definitely we're starting, and it's something different this year because we're starting on a Saturday with the national church service, and it's actually a weekend of worship, because we're moving from the Saturday with the national church service in Mandeville.
That's a Mandeville SDA.
Mandeville SDA, and that starts at 11 a.m. and the public is definitely invited to come and share in worship with us. And then on the Sunday now, we have the 4 other church services across the island.
Okay.
So weekend of worship and praise. So in Area 1, which is Westmoreland, Montego Bay, oh my gosh.
Hanover.
And Hanover.
Yes.
Right. So that will be held at the St. Mary the Virgin Anglican Church in Westmoreland. That starts at 10 a.m. In Area 2, St. Mary, St. Anne. We have the St. Mary Parish Church in Port Maria, St. Mary.
Okay.
In Area 4, which is Kingston and St. Andrew region.
Tough area. Area 4.
Yes, a tough area. We'll be going to the Miracle Tabernacle New Testament Church of God, 6 Road and Crescent in Kingston 11.
6 Road and Crescent, Kingston
Right.
11.
And that starts at that starts at 8 a.m. And
early.
very early.
early, right?
Very early.
Yes.
And then the 4th one will be starting at 10:30 at the Grace Missionary Church, 7 West Avenue, Kingston 8.
That's
So-
Kingston. Grace Missionary up
The Constant Springside, right?
Yes,
right.
yes,
So
okay.
persons, they are free to come in, pop by, and just come and praise and worship with us at any of those services that they feel are
And
meant
you'll
to.
have the leadership CSSB people spread out.
Certainly, definitely.
And the brand recognition.
Definitely.
Wearing tucked up properly. And,
Yes, yes. And as a national service on Saturday, the commissioner himself will be attending that one. Trying to inveigle him to go to another one.
Mandeville, you want to see a commish?
Yes,
Go to
yes, he'll
church.
be. He'll be there.
All right. What happens on?
right.
What's the big thing about the week?
Oh boy, the big thing. I can't really lay my finger on just one, because there are several. So we have, as I mentioned before, one of the focus is about recruitment and attracting the very best to the force.
McGregor mentioned
Right.
that, yes.
So there'll be a couple activities geared towards that. Starting off with an open day on the Monday.
Open day.
On open day. So these will be all at all head stations across the island, and we invite the people public to just come in and learn more about the JCF, as well as this is an opportunity to learn how you can become a member of a Force for Good, which is a theme for the week. So recruitment will be done on that day at the different head stations as well. We will continue that recruitment drive with some school visits on the Tuesday. So the CSSB team and our recruitment
So
personnel.
let me, before you leave me, the Monday is an open
The
day.
open day.
So
So our
all
stations will be open.
You can go in.
Go in, learn about.
You don't
learn
have to be
about
brought in. You
no,
can go
you can go in. You
Yeah.
can go in and just walk in and learn more about us. And
So there'll be point persons.
There will be point
throughout
persons
the day.
there.
Is there
Yes.
a time of day? I mean, you can,
We're starting from about 9 a.m. going up till probably about 5.
Okay.
So persons can just walk in and learn how they can,
yes.
be
They can
recruited.
ask questions. on
Yeah,
that.
man, definitely.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
where their
yes.
questions
And
can be
that's a
answered.
recruitment day as well.
That is a recruitment day as well.
So
at
when
the
you
head
come,
stations.
come with your ID, come with your things, come
Right.
with your...
And we'll be publishing prior to that what sort of documentations you'll need to carry if you're interested in doing that. So
Okay.
you'll be walking prepared to,
Okay.
join the force.
Join the force.
Right. All right.
A good force, a force for good.
A force for good.
Which is a good force.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, in every way. So the next opportunity for recruitment will come on when the CSSB persons and persons from the college recruitment will be going into select high schools on the Tuesday to speak to kids about career opportunities within the JCF. And it's not just about putting on the candy stripe and walking the beat. Policing is so much more than that, especially in this age of technology.
Yes.
So many exciting careers are there. I mean, communications
Yeah, there you
being
go.
one. And when you think of communications, for example, you think of your graphic artists, you think of your videographers.
Right.
So you have so many skilled persons that can come in and do so many other things.
And
Forensics,
the computer thing,
the
right? Some things
information
that are going on
technology,
there,
exactly.
cybercrime, yes.
Exactly. So don't just think of policing as, okay, so I'm armed with a baton or a gun and I'm out to chase
Yes.
bad guys.
Yes.
It has evolved so much more. And our young people are so multifaceted in their skills and talents that it can all come right to the JCF. So that's a Tuesday. And then the big day for recruitment and career exposure will be on the Wednesday when we have a career expo and the youth forum at Michael.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. What happens there?
So we'll be displaying a number of our assets and a number of our units will be there. So we have
When
K9.
you say asset, you mean car and...
Yeah, the cars, the bikes, the boat, the this, the that, as well as the people. We'll be having the K9 division, MOCA, Chaplain said, my unit as well, corporate communication, and several others who will be there to just speak about the exciting opportunities within the JCF for persons who wish to be a part of the JCF. And then after that, we follow with a youth forum. Now that is very important because the commissioner firmly believes that every moment spent with our youth is a moment well spent.
Yes.
So the youth forum is one element of youth partnership during the week. And what we'll be doing at that forum is listening to the youth. We're not talking to them. We're not pushing information on them. We're going to be having, of course, our expert panel from JCF, but we want to hear what their concerns are, what their suggestions are, what are we doing wrong that they can help us to fix or to manage. So that is their day to come to us and to tell us everything for us to move forward and be a better force for good for the nation. Those are the 3 major recruitment activities. But the commissioner himself will also be engaging on a number of levels. So on the Monday, let me go back, where the general open day will be out there. But at the commissioner's office, we'll have the youth commissioner for the day. So one lucky youth club member will put on his khaki suit and come up to the commissioner's office and play commissioner for the day and rule national security.
Okay.
So he'll be shadowing the commissioner.
Child shall lead them.
Exactly.
Yes.
So he'll be shadowing the commissioner, meeting with the high command and various senior officers. And on that day as well, he and the commissioner will be having a sit-down, what we call a conversation with the commissioner with select youth leaders from across various institutions.
I'm getting the wrap-up signal. So what,
Right.
you will end the week how?
So we'll end the week with a grand and very traditional way. We're going to run a boat.
Run a boat.
We're going to run a boat at our stations and we invite our citizens to come in and get a cup of porridge, a bowl of soup, a plate of curry chicken and rice and dumpling.
Yes.
So we're running a boat and it's all about enhancing our interaction
What
with our
day is
citizens.
that?
That is on Friday the 30th.
Okay, that's what
Yes.
I can't miss, right? Run a boat.
Run a boat,
All right.
exactly.
I want to thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
You know, because they're running us out of here, saying that the time has elapsed. But
problem.
we're looking forward to an eventful week.
Yes.
And of course, the purpose of it is to...
About building brand loyalty and citizen engagement.
And give me the logo again.
A force for good.
A force for good
Yes.
has to be a good force. So I want to thank you for joining us here on Insight today, and this is where we leave it. Special thanks to our guests and also to our viewers. Thanks also to our editorial and production teams. I've been your host, Michael Sharp. Until next time.